October 28, 2021. Good day all. This is a message from Sierra Victor. We continue with message number 20 of counter-guerrilla operations with FM 90-8/MCRP 333A as reference and discuss border operations or perimeter defense of safe zones. When anarchy erupts like recently in KZN, safe zones must be identified, barricaded, and defended. Such areas must not be chosen out of sentiment or comfort, but rather from a strategic point of view taking into account logistical supply points, terrain, and strategic facilities. Logistical supply points include fuel stations, hospitals, supermarkets, hardware stores, warehouses, and food distribution centers, etc. Terrain with mountains, rivers, dams or other difficult terrain is ideal. Facilities include hospitals, power stations, radio stations, workshops, etc. We have covered base defense, now we will cover safe zone border patrols. Since placing forces and barriers at all possible crossings or entry sites may be impossible, priorities should be established. Natural barriers must be used wherever possible. Using patrols, sensors, and obstacles in selected areas increases the effectiveness of natural barriers. Barrier and denial operations are established after careful consideration of the threat, the environment, and the location of the infiltrators' probable targets and methods of operation. Organization. Border or safe zone patrols is different from the access control security in the sense that access control security and roadblocks should be conducted by age groups 18 to 25 and those over the age of 60. For the purpose of ease, we will call this group the Bravo Group. This will be a good combination of the strength of youth and older wisdom and knowledge. Border or safe zone patrols will be a more mobile function for the age group 25 to 60. Small units permanently on patrol assisted with intelligence reports. For the purpose of ease, we will call this group the Alpha Group. Command and control. Border patrols are planned, directed, and supervised from the base level. Freedom of command should however be allowed at unit level within parameters. Structuring. Border task forces are tailored units designed to meet requirements in their assigned areas. They should contain sufficient combat support and combat service support elements to support operations for extended periods. Each small unit must be equipped with leadership element, medic, and communication officer. Operations. Restricted zones or friendly population buffer zones can be established if needed. Either of these operations, which could require relocating many persons, must be carefully planned. Although armed forces may assist, civil authorities normally are responsible for planning and carrying out a relocation program. Forced relocation is held to a minimum. The 1949 Geneva Conventions prohibit forced population resettlement unless there is clear military necessity. Specific portions of a border may be placed under effective surveillance and control by use of static security posts which will become a Bravo Group function. Surveillance. Continuous and detailed surveillance is required to determine infiltration and exfiltration routes and support sites, frequency and volume of traffic, type of transportation, number and type of personnel, amount and type of material, terrain and traffic conditions, and the probable location of base areas and sanctuaries. Border control methods. Two operational concepts for the control of borders are the restricted zone and the friendly population buffer. A. Restricted zone. Under this concept, an area of predetermined width along the border is declared a restricted zone. Appropriate proclamations are issued to the population so that everyone understands that any individual or group encountered in the zone will be considered as an element of the guerrilla force, paramilitary force, or similar organization. So far as practicable, the restricted zone is cleared of vegetation and other obstacles to observation over the area. Earth-moving equipment may be used for this purpose. Defoliants, if authorized, may also be used for this purpose, but this should be considered when no other method is feasible. Since the clearance of the zone along the entire border is normally not feasible, a priority of areas for clearance is usually necessary. The restricted zone is controlled by the use of ground and aerial observers, electronic sensor devices, listening posts, patrols, and obstacles. It is preferable that these activities be conducted by the Bravo Group. B. Friendly population buffer. The civilian population in the area of operations is redistributed as necessary to ensure that all civilians residing near the border are sympathetic to own forces. This may entail the screening of all persons settled along the border, relocation of those persons of doubtful sympathy, and supplementary resettlement of the border area with friendly elements of the civilian population. This concept provides a potential informant net along the border. It provides friendly local civilians for employment in self-defense units to control the border area, and it denies potential civilian contacts and houses of refuge for use by the guerrillas in border crossing activities. Relocation of civilians is a sensitive legal and political issue and should be undertaken with care and must comply with applicable provisions of Geneva Conventions 4. Relocation operations must be preceded by detailed economic, social, psychological, and political preparation so the socio-economic stability of the area is not endangered by the shifts in population. The conduct of these operations without such preparation can result in such undesirable effects in the area as political instability, extensive unemployment, inequities in land distribution, inadequate public utilities, inadequate housing, and intermingling of population with conflicting religious beliefs and social values. Sanctuaries. Guerrillas may establish base camps and conduct cross-border operations. They will take advantage of a border boundary to launch operations or evade pursuit with impunity. Commanders operating in border areas must respect the sanctity of boundaries, but they can conduct combat operations against the guerrilla force once it crosses back over the border. Ambush patrols are an excellent means of dealing with guerrillas who attempt to use a border as a sanctuary. Due to WhatsApp audio length, we keep our message between 5 and 10 minutes. In our next message, we will continue with defense preparations in the urban environment. Our messages are not by any means enticing you to a revolution of sorts, but rather to equip you with the necessary theoretical background in order to not only survive the anticipated chaos, but to walk victorious from it. Also to assist local armed forces or police in stabilizing a SHTF situation. Please visit our Dropbox account for all our previous material. Links can be obtained from any admin on the Sierra Victor groups. Thank you for listening or reading this message. Please feel free to use and distribute as needed. We wish you well. Sierra Victor.